Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love Volusia County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on what they love about being a part of Volusia. So today I'm super excited to have my guest Jesse with us today. Jesse, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Of course. Well, Jesse and I met not too long ago. We met at I don't remember like the exact wording for it, but it was like the Volusia Chamber Mega Mix, and it was an amazing event, huge event. Like I want to say at least like 50 or 60 vendors, all there with their booths set up. And we have a mutual friend in James Walsh, and I saw a few things about what you did. I was like, I would love to have you on and kind of talk a little bit about it. So thank you again for the time. I really appreciate it. Do you kind of want to kick us off and tell me a little bit about, a little bit about your journey coming to Volusia? You also used to be part of Flagler as well, and before you landed where you are. So if you want to kind of tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so long story short, I grew up in Flagler Beach, Palm Coast to be exact, but obviously that's, Flagler. And I stayed there from the age of 5 to about 19. In Flagler, I was a troublemaker, right? So Flagler back in the 90s was extremely boring, which right now, I'm sure it's a little boring right now for younger kids. You got to kind of make your own fun. But back in the 90s when there was nothing, it was you know, idle time is the devil's playground. So grew up in and out of trouble. And actually I left there when I was 19. I went to prison and I did 13 years, got out 32. And by then I had no family in Florida,
Mm.
none. So it was basically go back to Palm Coast if I wanted to, or really I could pretty much go anywhere. I did have a few good people who I met while I was incarcerated who lived in Ormond Beach. Um,
Oh,
they weren't incarcerated, but they were volunteers that would come into the prison
oh,
system.
yeah,
And so I was intrigued with Ormond. So I got out and just moved here and I fell in love with Ormond Beach.
nice. What about Ormond really drew you to it?
So I love the feel of it. So
Mm.
it's not too country to where it's like you're in the middle of the woods. It's not that country. We got a beautiful beach. It's a small town, but it's close enough to Orlando or close enough to Daytona. And it has everything that you really need. You don't
Yeah,
need to leave Ormond for anything if you don't want to. And I love in this part of my life, I love kind of like a slower pace of living and
sure.
safety.
Yeah.
Ormond is very safe. And I love the everybody from the people who work at the stores to the officers to everybody in Ormond is just an amazing, it's an amazing community.
Yeah, that's so I haven't been able to explore much of Ormond yet. I'm pretty new even just to Palm Coast and going even to Daytona. I've barely visited there. What kind of things would you recommend for Ormond?
So that's a great question. What kind of things would I recommend for somebody looking to move to a new place or looking to just
Maybe
visit?
if they, yeah, if they had a day and you said, okay, here are like one or two things you want to make sure you do here in Ormond while you're here.
I mean, I would definitely recommend the beach.
Mm,
I would recommend the beach because
right.
I don't know who I'm recommending it to. So if they're out of town then or out of
Sure.
state, we have a beautiful beach. You can actually drive on the beach. I don't like that just because the environment, I don't feel like it's the right thing.
Sure.
But you can drive on the beach, but it's just a beautiful beach. So we got that. The other thing I'd recommend them to do is to come work out at Bamboo Athletics, right?
There you go.
Name of my
Yeah.
gym. But we have the best program. So you could get a little bit of beach time, then get a little bit of beach body time with a workout.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love for you to talk a little bit on Bamboo Athletics and starting that and what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, so it's interesting. What we're doing is hard to explain.
Okay.
The short way of me explaining it is saying, hey, we have a gym. But the real answer or the real explanation is it's a transformation center. So we have three pillars that we focus on, which is fitness, right? We got to get fit, we got to exercise using muscles, nutrition. Fitness without nutrition is good, but it's not great. When you have the both of them together, it's great. And then the third pillar is accountability. And that's what takes us from great to amazing. So that's what we focus on. And it's just amazing how much we've been learning and the change that we've been able to make in the lives that we touch every day.
Yeah, accountability is such a huge part when it comes to anything that you do, really. But of course, I know fitness is a really big one. Like, how many people, it's so easy to go get the discounted gym membership at New Year's Day on January 1st. You're like, all right, I'm into it. January 3rd, you're like, all right, I'm not into it anymore. And it's hard. And it's just sometimes it's accountability and sometimes it's also community, which I think is that something you guys focus a lot on as well?
Yeah, both with us, accountability and community are kind of married
Yeah.
together. So we call it three levels of accountability. And level one is basically the community and the people you're starting the journey with. So, like, say
Mm,
if me and you were to start working out together for the first time in a long time, we would form our own little relationship, right? We're working out, we're sweating together, we're both brand new. The second level of accountability in the community is like the mentors. So if we're working out together, but there's other people who started 3 months ago, they're further than us, they're cheerleading us on. That's a part of the community. And then we have the coaches, and the coaches are the experts. And with us, we guide everybody. So we have like three levels of accountability and community. Um, so yeah.
yeah. That's perfect. That's such a great part is especially I think as we get older, like when we go to school, you have your peers and stuff and you do life with them for a really long time. And then once we're adults, we're like, "Oh, we don't need that anymore." But that's never really the case. Is it's so much better and easier to do something, especially when it's something hard, like starting to go to the gym consistently again after maybe 5 years. Sorry, like 5 years, 5 months, any of those times, it's hard to get back into a routine having someone with you that can text say, "Hey, I don't want to go today," and your friend's like, "Well, I'm going. You have to come with me." It gets you out. Like I know going to the gym was so much easier when me and my mom went together, and now we have different schedules, so we can't go at the same time. So every time I wake up that I have to go to the gym, I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. But I'm like, all right, I have to. I have to, even though my mom's not there. I have to go to go do something. So it's really great that you guys have that built-in community and you guys have that support already.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it never stops. So if
Mhm.
I'm gonna get better as a coach, or if I want to get better at anything in life, I'm gonna need a community. I'm gonna need other people who are further than me, other people with me on the same level. I'm gonna need the whole three tiers if I really want to excel. Um, so yeah, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. What kind of things, I know that there are different gyms that focus, I guess, on different things, if that makes sense. So if people are just kind of watching this and they haven't really thought about going to the gym, but they kind of know they should, or something like that, what would you kind of tell them that this is what it would help them with the most?
Okay. Are these people in Ormond Beach, or is this
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
anybody?
We'll say Ormond.
Okay, so if they're in Ormond, they have to go on Facebook or Instagram and search Bamboo Athletics. It's the
Hmm.
number one thing to do, and just reach out to us.
Okay.
Number one thing. Now, say if they're not in Ormond Beach and they're in California or anywhere else, what I would recommend, and I was just meditating on this earlier. I was really big on this like 2 years ago. I was promoting it a lot, but it's been a while. But I would recommend an 8-minute workout. And it sounds
Mm.
so silly. Sounds silly. The reason why 90% of us don't start, I'll say more than 90%, is because of exercise anxiety. We're intimidated, we're scared of what people might think, or we're just scared to put ourselves out there or to sweat. Whatever it is, there's some type of anxiety. And if we don't set the bar so high and we say, you know what, I'm gonna do a 6-minute workout this afternoon, you're not going to feel too intimidated. And that workout could literally just be a walk, because the main thing is that we're checking the box. Boom, we did something. And if you do it again the next day, boom, we did something. Now we start building momentum. So my advice would just be a micro workout. Don't overthink it. Just get the ball rolling.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great tip. I know my dad and was just kind of talking and sharing with his community that he decided, and this was the funniest thing ever. We met some people at the beach and they were like, "Oh, we're doing a bike like marathon today." And he was like, "How long is it?" They're like, "It's 100 miles." And my dad turned to me, he's like, "I'm gonna do that next year." And I'm like, "No, you're not. You have not biked in years." I'm like, "I'm not even trying to be mean, but I don't know if you realize how much that is." And he was like, "No, no, no, I got it." I was like, okay. And then I think he went biking for like 10 minutes the next day. And he's like, I'm not going to do 100 miles next year.
That's
He's like,
exactly.
but I do want to bike and I do want to continue that goal. So he's slowly built up his momentum. And I think he's been biking consistently maybe 3 months. And went from, maybe 10, 20 minutes, and now I think he does about an hour. And it's just like you said, because you have a goal you want to reach, and you don't want to freak yourself out by going to the gym for 5 hours at a stretch. You're like, all right, let's just do a quick YouTube workout. And there are so many on there just to get started.
Yeah.
But then it's so much more beneficial to have a community like Bamboo Athletics to go to and check in with people and have that
Yeah.
in-person thing. I know Zoom has made it easy for people, but in-person stuff is still great.
It's the best. In my opinion, you can't beat the in-person stuff,
No,
but if you don't have somewhere to go, you can still do something, even if it's
right.
walking.
Definitely. Well, so you mentioned Facebook. Is there anywhere else people can go to learn a little bit more about Bamboo Athletics?
So we're on Facebook, Instagram, which they're kind of like the same. We have a website, which is www.bambooathletics.com.
Hmm.
And we're just starting our LinkedIn, but I have a bigger vision for that. So it's not really, I'm not spending a lot of time on that at the moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Mhm.
that's super great. So I'll make sure I have all those links in the description so people can click, copy, paste, whatever makes it easier for them. Check that out. Jesse, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a few minutes. This is a really great story. I loved hearing about everything that you guys have gone through, and having an amazing community like Bamboo Athletics can definitely make that intimidating life transformation a lot more easier. Is there any kind of last thing you like to throw out there before we wrap it up?
Yeah, so one of the reasons it looks like I'm in a garage right now. All right, so this is our second office. So in our first office, we have a sales meeting going on. So right now we're just masterminding, and me and Coach Ange we're working on some other thing for the program. So that's why it looks like we're in here. Second thing that I just want to get across to everybody is that nothing changes if nothing changes. And this
Yes.
goes for anyone who's looking to get in shape and anyone who's looking to better their lives at all. This goes for you, Macy, right?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I say it right. This goes for you, this goes for me, this goes for all of us. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And there's no better day than today.
Definitely. Remember I was speaking to a Rotary Club, and I mentioned that at that time, I'd only done 130 podcast episodes. And she's like, what would you recommend? Like, how did you kind of get over it? Like, how did you get over those first few fears of the first few people that came on the podcast, talking to those people? And I was like, I have the worst answer for you, is that I just kept on doing it because I wanted to have that change. But nothing was gonna happen if I just kind of sat and I was like, oh, I'm gonna change my mindset. It's just gonna shift automatically. It's like, no, you have to do the action. You have to go out there, you have to go shake some hands, even if it's just talking to one person a day. And then it led up to me having what we've done about 150 or so by now, in about 6 months. And that's really only happened
So
because
what got you into doing the podcast?
so I started podcasting about 3 years ago. And it was just really a way for me to connect with other people, especially in the business industry. I was about 17, and I was able to interview about 250 people, maybe 200 people, for about a year, just 15 minutes, kind of like this. And it was a way for me to kind of learn networking skills and really conversational skills, because this was exiting COVID. So, and I was in Michigan where our restrictions were a lot different. So I really was not talking to a lot of people. I wasn't conversing like I used to when I worked at my family's restaurant as a cashier, where I had to talk to people 24/7. Um, but the shift from having that podcast to the Flagler podcast was I did all of that online. I sent messages and I had some phone calls, but I didn't meet a lot of these people. So
Mhm.
in-person networking felt like this huge other beast that I knew I needed to overcome if I wanted to do anything, if I wanted to have any influence, if I wanted to have any type of business. And so that's what I did with the Flagler podcast is I went out into Flagler events and I said, I have a Flagler podcast. Let's talk about it. And it was really hard for so long. I feel like people would not believe me if I said I was still terrified of networking up until like 2 months ago. And I still sometimes am. So it's one of those things, like you said, if nothing changes, nothing changes, and you have to be the change, and every small step makes a difference.
I agree. So what's your goal with the podcast?
Yeah, just continuing to grow this and helping other business owners if they're looking to start their own podcast as well. So, yeah, well, I really appreciate, you coming on and sharing a few minutes, because this is really
Mhm.
what I love to do, and I love talking to people and learning about their businesses, and helping other people do that as well. So, again, I really appreciate your time.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Of
And
course.
nothing but the best.
Thank you. And to everyone listening, I really appreciate you as well. And I will see you next time. Bye.